do it.
Glad to hear, Walter.
We're good to go. Okay, the time is now 7:33. This is the October 28th, 2021 work session of the Allendale Mayor and Council. Welcome to everyone joining us tonight in person at Borough Hall. We do have a rather packed house, and we are also live streaming our meetings via Zoom webinar for those who prefer to watch from elsewhere. We ask those present to please mute your devices at this time so as not to distract from the business of the meeting. And as always, there'll be several opportunities for the public present to be heard, and we will advise you at the appropriate times. Michelle, please read the Open Public Meeting Act announcement.
Sure. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and on the borough website, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger. Notice of this meeting by the October 26, 2021 Sunshine Notice was sent to the record, the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger, and has been posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and borough website.
Great. Please conduct the roll call.
Councilwoman Homan. Here. Councilman O'Connell.
Here.
Councilman O'Toole.
Here.
Councilman Sasso.
Here.
Councilman Strouch.
Here.
Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Here.
And Mayor Bernstein.
Here. Public comment. So we opened the meeting 3 times to the public. So this is the first of the 3 opportunities tonight for the public present to comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come forward to the microphone. Mr. Whitmer, state
I
your
don't know.
name and
Mine-
address.
Walter Whitmer, 38 Hamilton. I know this is a non-answerable question, but I had the occasion to go into the police station yesterday. I don't know if any of you have been there, but it is the most unfriendly situation. And I don't mean the police. The police are fantastic, the individuals, the structure of the building. And I don't know if that's a typical procedure of constructing those places, but you stand there and you're looking up at the ceiling to try and get a police officer or the dispatcher.
The dispatcher, right.
His interest.
Right.
That's for safety reasons.
What?
That's for safety. But
I
their
don't
safety.
care what they call it. It's very, very uncomfortable.
Right.
I mean, the police are there to serve and protect. In that place, I don't know how to describe it.
So, right, and the construction of it predates all of our, maybe not Jim, perhaps Jim, but it predates all of our being on the council. So we can't take either credit or discredit for the way it was done.
I don't expect an answer. I just have to vent. Because I was so annoyed with that experience.
So were the members, was the dispatcher and were the police officers, were they helpful once,
They're fantastic.
right?
I've met a number of them here and there, and they're outstanding.
Right.
Now, I'm not one of these idiots who's running around being the police. I support them totally.
Right. It's duly noted.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Walter.
Hello, Samantha. How are
Hi.
you?
Good. How are you? Samantha Yacarino, 108 Hillside Ave.
Great.
I'm just here as part of a law class I'm attending for my grad school at Rutgers.
Mhm.
So thank you for having me, and I will sit back there.
So Michelle, please make sure to get her name and address for the record. So how is the law class?
It's law.
It's law. Is
So that means you want to be a lawyer?
No,
Oh, good, good.
Okay.
Just checking.
right. And what other things do you have to do for the class? Are there any other out of the book kind of assignments?
No, this is the one. This is the one that we have to do.
So I'm Okay.
Excited to be here and learn.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to try to keep it interesting and short too. Good. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Okay, not seeing anyone. Agenda review. So on the regular session agenda tonight, we have the introduction of 21-12, which has to do with stormwater control. And so I can give you some background on that. The state of New Jersey updated their stormwater control regulations and required municipalities' ordinances to conform by March 2021, which we did via ordinance 20-01. The County of Bergen's Department of Planning and Engineering reviewed and recommended some further revisions. This ordinance 21-12 replaces 2101 and was prepared by Mike Vreeland's office to incorporate Bergen County's recommended changes. Mr. Vreeland said that they had to do with conditions that don't exist in Allendale. However, Mike thought that they wanted to see uniform ordinances throughout Bergen County. So that's what we're doing with 21-12. Second reading and public hearing for 2111. And then, huh?
Sorry, that's a typo.
Yeah.
It's just the ordinance 21-12.
Yeah, just, there's no second reading. Right, and then we have 13 resolutions on the consent agenda. So does anyone have any questions on the items on the consent agenda, which I would be happy to go over if you did? Okay. So we will now move on to council reports. Ed, Councilman O'Connell?
Thank you, Mayor. We have a upcoming law and public safety meeting on October 5th. We did meet with a resident today about their concerns on Chestnut Street. Downstairs before the meeting today, some of his issues will be getting addressed with the police department and various other entities. The calls so far into the borough are 13,157. 911 calls are 1,472. Fire calls are 180 and AVAC calls are 406. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Councilman Sasso?
Yes, thank you. The Land Use Committee met Wednesday last at 8 a.m. The meeting was smooth, no major issues. Property maintenance, one of my hot buttons, is well enforced and well covered by Mike Lumatola. I'm very happy to see. I see him all the time on the road, something in the past that we haven't had to my satisfaction. So I'm very happy with what's going on there. He's very dedicated to what he does. Construction code is going smoothly, which is the most you can hope for in construction code, that it's going smoothly. The other thing you can hope for is that currently in 2021, we're having the highest revenue year since 2015, and we're $55,000 higher in permit fees than this point last year. So we have now gotten back to pre-pandemic levels. So construction code permits and the associated fees to me are a leading indicator of our own little microcosm here of the economy. But not only that, I consider it a leading indicator or a lagging indicator on how satisfied residents are with Allendale, because they're expanding and they're building on and they're putting in pools. They're sticking around. So I'm happy to report that. The other thing the council discussed, I've heard in the past from probably only a handful of residents, and Councilman Strouch, who is my second co-chair on the committee, are a little sensitive to noise, especially since we've all been home for so long. And we thought that the noise ordinance could use a review, but it appears that Councilman Strouch and I and a few other people are the only ones that are concerned. The committee itself thinks that maybe this is a solution in search of a problem, and I respect that. So we are going to table that for the foreseeable future. But if there's anybody that's reading a transcript or is watching this now or hears this later, if you have any comments, concerns, or suggestions around noise in Allendale, specifically, really, we're talking about commercial landscapers and contractors, you can reach out to me on email via the borough website. So that's it. Thank you.
Great, and Councilman Sasso, thank you, and thank you for that report. And right, and as you know, right, we do have times in place and we do have restrictions. So the question was, did we need to tweak them? And as you made a point, with that issue was raised to the land use board, right? And
yes, I forgot that part. I was unable to make the last land use board meeting in this room. So the mayor did a straw poll of the group and they seem to agree that they have no issues
Right.
with noise at this time.
Yeah, that our current ordinance, our current rules and regulations were appropriate in terms of.
I would just ask that if public safety could put it on your agenda for your next meeting.
I know we have talked about it in the
Yeah,
past
if you
when
could
it
just
came up.
check back with them again to see, because they're the ones getting the calls. And they're the ones that have to deal with the enforcement issues. So if you could just ask them, and if they say there's no problem, there's no problem.
I will check with them, but their biggest concern was the enforcement issue end of it.
Yeah.
They're not around when the noise is at its loudest to take a reading, and they don't have the equipment to take a reading.
Right, so currently, right now, it's, as it's written, it's unenforceable because we don't have a noise meter or a noise officer. So I think what typically is happening, the officer goes out and says, hey, you gotta turn that down, come on.
So, but
You know,
The only thing they can enforce is the time issue.
right, well, so there are two components.
Yeah.
There's the decibel issue, which we don't have the noise control officer or the decibel reader, but we do have time restrictions, and that is enforced.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Right.
And I think probably education is the biggest thing. Residents should go in and read the code. I forget what section it is now.
Maybe we should put a little blurb on it in the newsletter. and
You
just
know,
be
that's a great
"Please be
idea. I mean,
Respectable, you know,
John Gill
everybody's
sent-
home and, you know.
John Gill sent that out today about looking for things for the
Mhm, for
newsletter. Maybe
November.
I'll remind residents via the newsletter what the times are, and that if
Yeah,
there's no reason they should have to put up with 5 back blowers past a certain hour or before a certain hour.
Right.
Right.
So, okay, that's it for me. But if you could just check with the
Absolutely.
PD. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilwoman Homan?
Sure. Let's see. First of all, last meeting, Mike Reeland gave everybody an overview kind of on the temporary treatment that we're trying to have installed at New Street. And right now, the permits are in, as he'd said. We did receive some technical questions back from NJDEP. So Mike Reeland and
If it's a problem.
his partner at work, they're working with Suez, who have been great to resolve the remaining questions. So hopefully, you know, we will receive approval for the temporary treatment at New Street in the not too distant future. And then hopefully this temporary treatment could be put into, you know, real life effect sometime probably. And Ron, you may know better whether they can build during the winter months, because we'll have to build the interconnect. So we're hopeful maybe during first quarter.
I think more, yeah,
Yeah.
weather permitting first quarter 2022.
So that's kind of the update on the temporary treatment, which again, as a reminder, would just treat the 3 wells at New Street currently. And then we'll have to start to take a look at the well on West Crescent, which is currently closed. First, it was, you know, it was impacted negatively by the storm. And then we didn't want to have it open during fourth quarter because test results indicated that it would go into violation, and that wasn't something that we wanted to do. So we will subsequently begin to look at the West Crescent well and what temporary treatment to put in there. The other thing I wanted to make sure I shared with the council, that obviously there's the referendum on the sale during the election, and, you know, we'll see what happens. Should, you know, the referendum not pass, I feel like each time as we moved into possibly having to have price increases, I've wanted to make sure that I've alerted the council, you know, that we're moving towards that. So because we would need 2 readings in order to implement the any rate increases going forward for everybody to be around, I just wanted to make sure I did as I normally would, which was alert you that, you know, should it not pass, that then I would be coming as the chair of the water committee and bringing probably the estimates would be a 30% price increase. And primarily that would be driven because the way that we have kind of worked it out a little bit with Suez, if they acquire it, is that they would actually cover some parts of the temporary treatment at New Street, the resin, the tractor trailer, the rental of that sort of stuff. And we would be responsible for the build out, you know, at the pipes that come out of the building and into the temporary treatment back in. So if the referendum would not pass, we would then need to be responsible for all that. And that would be, you know, just the startup costs are right around $500,000. And that's looking just at New Street. And so we would also need to be planning to be able to cover whatever the cost would be at West Crescent, because we really do need the West Crescent well when we come into the summertime months right now. And that's what else I should give, just looking at Ron. So we do need that. I'll give my compliment in a minute. So we will need to do that. So just, a heads up and we'll work through all that appropriately. And obviously we'll have a couple meetings to talk about it. The other thing though, I have to give a compliment to Jim, our water operator. He's been working with Lane and Ron and Mike Vreeland, and they have kept our bulk water purchase to about our agreement. So hopefully we will not be, we're right there. If the graph looks good, and not having the West Crescent well, that's, sometimes not an easy feat. So
Right.
that's some positive news to share. And other than that, I've met with a lot of groups in the borough. Amy's come with me, giving some of the financial side of it. And that's been excellent. I hope it's given an opportunity to residents to ask questions. They've asked a lot of good questions, and I feel like we've had a lot of very engaging conversations. I've also had quite a number of emails from residents that I feel like we've, answered their questions appropriately. And it's been, I've appreciated people reaching out to me with questions, and I hope that they have also appreciated, the outreach that we have to make sure that we are being transparent with all the information that we can on this proposed water sale. So people feel comfortable when they go into the voting booth.
The outreach that you, I don't want to say single-handedly, but you have spearheaded and you have led has been incredible. I mean, it just in terms of, you and I, your persistence to get it right and your persistence to get the word out it really goes above and beyond. So
We have a good water committee, and it's been,
Right.
it's a labor of love.
well,
Right?
you don't always say that. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, I feel compelled that I feel like every person, I don't want anybody going into the voting booth being like, what? And so I feel like we have really done a good job in really, starting over, almost a year and a half ago with public meetings. But,
Right.
Even as a council, we've talked about this and what the challenges have been. So
Right.
thank you, but it's-
Absolutely. Before I continue with the committee reports, I do, on the agenda, I didn't mention, but it's scheduled that we were going to approve the minutes for May 27th, but I think we're gonna pull those, right?
I'll say my bad. I just, with all of the emails that I've answered and being in different groups, I did not have a chance to look at them appropriately. And I realized it's important. I felt like as I read my water minutes, I was like, wait a minute.
Yep. No, better to get it right.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. So we're going to pull that from the agenda. I didn't mention it before in the agenda review when I guess appropriately so. So it's on there. We're going to pull it and we will approve it at the next meeting. Continuing with the reports, Councilwoman Wozinski.
Sure. 220 West Crescent, Hampshire is still working with the contractor. They actually have selected a contractor and they have given us preliminary numbers. I'm not ready to share them yet because we do have a construction manager who's working on our behalf. He still has to look through them, and I should be prepared to share them with everybody by the next meeting. Probably in closed session, I think, first, until we can make a decision. I will say that they came in higher, but we did expect that with COVID and all the prices of construction and delivery coming in, it was to be expected. So there's going to be some decisions we'll have to talk about there when the time comes. So the playground, if you see on the agenda, we have our playground coming in, and we're very super happy about this because initially we thought this was going to be delayed as well. So we'll be working on the second phase and then hopefully getting in the third phase. So it's going to be beautiful when it's done. We just ask for everybody to please be patient while we're in this transition period. But we got all Bergen County open space grants, and it's going to be a great addition to Crestwood Lake when it's done. And actually just the water, I've been working with Councilwoman Homan for these past couple of weeks, and I learned something new every time we have a meeting, and there's been a lot, but I have to say the response has been positive. It's so much, there's so many layers, and sometimes people just concentrate on one little bubble of them. So it's nice to be able to vet it all out. And then at the end, they're kind of like, okay. And I have to say pretty much almost everybody that we've, come through and talked to has really agreed that this is the best thing for the borough. And I've it's a pleasure to work with you to do it because I do actually think this is, I believe with all my heart that this is the best thing for the borough. So I'm looking forward to a positive vote on November 2nd.
Well,
And
just
that's-
as an added little note, as I was looking at our water bills, or you remember that we have water free to the borough for 5 years in an agreement, right? Just, there's little things that are even more positive.
And the rent, I forgot about the rent that they're going to be paying us in taxes, I mean. So yeah, all these little things. So anyway, so that's it for me.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman O'Toole.
Certainly. The Administration, Finance, and HR Committee met this past Monday. Some of the items that we discussed were the hiring of a new staff member to assist with the day-to-day operations in the clerk's office. We also took care of quite a few housekeeping items, such as the personnel manual, retirement plans, et cetera. We're looking fairly good on revenue this year, although our court fees are down, engineering fees are up, Crestwood revenues are way up, and as Councilman Sasso said, construction fees are also way up. I was going to end with taxes being due on November 1st, but I figured I would throw that in and end on a high note. We were just notified the other day that due to the efforts of Director Kistner and OEM Director Dillon, we received $35,000 from FEMA for reimbursement of expenses from Tropical Storm Isaias. So
Good.
it's,
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work, right? I mean, I know you've spent some significant time with.
We're working, I'll report on my report.
Oh,
We're
okay,
dealing with
good.
Ida right
Good.
now. It's going very well.
Wow, that's-
Right.
OEM Director Dylan is amazing.
Right.
and thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
and thanks to you too.
Thank you, Matt. And right, and you had mentioned that we are appointing administrative assistant Amanda Bartoloma. She will be working in the clerk's office and assisting with constituent services, permitting, licensing, JIF compliance, Crestwood registration and timesheets, and a whole bunch of other things. So we welcome her and look forward to her as a good addition to the team. Councilman Strouch, would you like to give your report?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bernstein. The DPW report, as was mentioned by Matt, OEM Director Mike Dillon and Ron have actually had two reportedly excellent meetings with FEMA representatives in regards to Tropical Storm Ida. And that is a big deal. Getting the FEMA reimbursement really helps plug a hole in our expenses during these flood events, these storm events. So thank you to OEM Director Dillon and Ron for sticking with this. I know it's difficult, but it does yield financial rewards. Dan Davis has been starting the street sweeping in the borough roadways and will be continuing to do so, weather permitting, through the end of the year. And it's great having a street sweeper now. It gives us more flexibility to keep our streets clean, and it's also part of our stormwater management regulations. Rich McDowell and Danny Davis have also done a great job working with the Allendale Police Department in the most recent rain event the other night. It does seem like they're coming one after the other, possibly more rain this weekend. And so, you know, all the DPW is constantly working with our other entities, especially the police during these events. So I want to thank everybody involved. And while I'm mentioning Rich McDowell, he recently got the renewal for his pesticide application certification from the state DEP. This is a big deal. Having somebody on the DPW staff that has pesticide application certification it's nice from a cost savings, and also again the flexibility of applying it rapidly when we need to. So good job to Rich. I appreciate his efforts to keep his certification current. In the green team front, this coming Saturday, the Mahwah Boy Scouts is having a styrofoam collection drive in Mahwah at the municipal building, which is on 475 Corporate Drive, which is off Route 17. It's from 10 to 1 this Saturday. So if you've been collecting styrofoam this Saturday, you have the availability to bring it to this collection event. We do recommend that you get there as close to 10 o'clock as possible, because once the trucks fill up, they don't take any more of the styrofoam. And if past events are any indication, it's a very popular program, and it keeps a lot of the styrofoam out of the landfill, which is a win-win for everybody involved. And in closing, I've been enjoying navigating the new Allendale website that's been up and running for about a month or so. And in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage of the Allendale website is a box to report a concern. And I actually had the opportunity to use that recently, and I was very pleased with how that process was handled. So anybody listening, if you have a concern, one of the easiest ways to submit it to the town is to go to the Allendale Borough website, and in the upper right corner of the homepage, you'll see a small box that says report a concern. And the Allendale website is also a wealth of information. I can I know I'm repeating myself, but I encourage everybody to go there when they have questions, because they will find accurate and reliable information there. Thank you, Ari.
Councilman Strouch, thank you very much. Great job. Your timing is impeccable as well, 7:59. So we are going to adjourn the work session. I would request a motion to adjourn the work session.
So moved. Sasso.
Great. Second?
O'Connell?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Don't anyone leave yet? I was just. We're going to start now. The time is now 8 o'clock, and this is the October 28th, 2021 regular session of the Allendale Mayor and Council. Welcome to everyone who is joining us tonight in person at Borough Hall. Welcome to everyone live streaming our meetings via Zoom, the Zoom webinar for those who prefer to watch from elsewhere. At this time, please mute your devices so as not to distract from the business of the council. There'll be 2 more opportunities for anyone to be heard, and we will advise you at the appropriate times. Michelle, please read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement.
Sure. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice requirements have been satisfied. The meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and on the borough website, published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year, and copies are sent to the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger. Notice of this meeting by the October 26, 2021 Sunshine Notice was sent to the record, the Ridgewood News and Star Ledger, and has been posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building and borough website.
Great, thank you. If we can all please rise to salute the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, everyone. Michelle, please conduct the roll call.
Sure. Councilwoman Homan. Here. Councilman O'Connell.
Here.
Councilman O'Toole.
Here.
Councilman Sasso.
Here.
Councilman Strouch.
Here.
Councilwoman Wilsinski.
Here.
And Mayor Bernstein.
Here, thank you very much. So next is public comment on agenda items only. So anyone who wishes to be heard on anything that we're discussing on the agenda, now is the time. Not seeing anyone. We'll close the meeting to the public. Again, we open it one last time for any questions at the end. We did have on the agenda the approval of the May 27th meeting minutes, work session and regular session. We're going to pull those so everyone gets a chance to read through them again, and they'll be on the agenda at the next meeting in November. So the next is introduction of ordinances, and we have ordinance 21-12, which I had discussed regarding stormwater control. So I would request a council member to make a motion to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 21-12 and set the hearing for December 2nd, 2021 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter in the council chambers of the Allendale Municipal Building.
Sasso.
Thank you. Second.
Second, Strouch.
Thank you, Jim. Michelle, please read the title of the ordinance and conduct a roll call.
Sure. This is ordinance 21-12, an ordinance of the Borough of Allendale, Bergen County, New Jersey, amending and modifying Chapter 231, Stormwater Control, Article 1, General Regulations of the Borough of Allendale. Councilwoman Holman,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell,
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Sasso.
Yes.
Councilman Strouch,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Wozinski.
Great, thank you. Next is the consent agenda. The 13 items. Any questions? Okay,
I'm sorry, I have one question.
sure, go ahead.
I doubt this is the case, but do we know if item M 21-251 is a 5G upgrade? I don't think that would be the case.
251, so no, we don't know that. I mean, Crown Castle on behalf of T-Mobile asked for consent to modify the equipment on the seat. on the
It's
cell
probably
tower.
not.
Yeah, I
but
don't
we
think
don't
so, because we found out that that's not coming for another couple of years.
Yeah, and it takes like 15 or 20 of them, so I wouldn't see the point in putting up one.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Is it
good.
gonna help our reception in Allendale?
If you have T-Mobile.
Good point.
Okay, any other questions? No, a good question, Steve. I would request a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second,
Second, Sasso.
thank you. Michelle, please conduct a roll call.
Councilwoman Holman,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connell.
Yes.
Councilman O'Toole,
Yes.
Councilman Sasso.
Yes.
Councilman Strouch,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Wozinski.
Yes.
Is that everyone?
Yes.
Okay, good. What's that?
That was funny.
Just seems short. Any unfinished business? Any new business? All right, and now we're gonna go to committee reports. I think I have my report to give, and then we'll go to everyone else. Bergen County League of Municipalities Barbecue. Last Thursday, we hosted it. This had been hyped up for months. And we thought we were gonna do it in August, then in September, but we had it last Thursday at our Red Barn. It was, I think it was a success. It was a huge success. Mayors, elected officials, administrators representing some of the 70 towns within Bergen County were in attendance to share ideas and information, as well as hear County Executive Jim Tedesco give a very detailed report on county matters. I mean, he just, you could take notes. I mean, for 10, 15 minutes, everything that's going on in the county. It was really, much thanks to him. Thank you to Councilwoman Wozinski, Councilman O'Connell for attending with me. Big thank you to Ron Kistner for organizing. Mayor Joanne Minichetti of Upper Saddle River. She is the president or chair. OEM coordinator Mike Dillon, John Gill, Tyler Yacarino, Tatiana Marquis for helping to make the event a success. And special thanks, Michelle. She took
don't
her
include
name
her
out.
name
Yeah,
here.
she took her own name out of the report. Just a big thanks to Michelle. And special thanks to Pete Camisa for keeping us entertained with his music. Halloween coming up on Sunday. I'm sure everyone's excited. I want to remind everyone to practice caution while traveling throughout the town with all the children and the families walking this weekend. As in the past, we've set a curfew for 8 o'clock as a courtesy to our fellow residents. And Matt, that includes you. So,
I will be working the Holiday Observers Halloween Parade that evening,
okay,
policing the halls.
okay.
This curfew is on the 31st and the 30th?
Yes, yeah, we do it for both days, the cabbage night or goosey night, whatever you call it.
So I have to be in by 8.
That's right.
Okay.
Right, we wish everyone a lot of safe fun. The pumpkin carving event, which I attended and voted on last Sunday, PTO's first annual pumpkin carving event. They were it was amazing what they do with pumpkins. No longer do you just cut out the eyes and the nose. They had all, just the creativity was beyond. So I, along with Officer Acevedo and Hillary, the children's librarian, were the judges. It was a hard decision. Congratulations to everyone for putting the event together. And the pictures are on Facebook and Instagram. And we will also be having them in our November newsletter. The general election is Tuesday, November 2nd. This year, there will be in-person voting at the polls on election day. However, early voting has also now come to New Jersey and will be available as an option through Sunday, October 31st. Everyone should check out the flyer and in our October newsletter that was recently emailed with information on the ways registered voters can vote this year. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to the Bergen County Clerk's Office or our clerk's office. Information is also available on our website and social media accounts. As Councilwoman Homan mentioned as well, there's an important vote on the sale of the water system. That will be on the ballot. Senior freeze and homestead rebate programs. Application for the state of New Jersey's 2020 Senior Freeze Property Tax Reimbursement Program are also due on November 1, 2000. No, are on November 1, right, of this year. The 2018 homestead rebate application, is that right?
Yes,
It is 2018?
yeah, that's what I guess the state is behind, but yes.
Wow. 2018 homestead rebate applications are due by November 30th. More information on the state's property tax relief programs for seniors can be found on the Division of Taxation's website. We've put information in our newsletter as well. Curbside leaf collection and compost permit sale. The 2021 curbside leaf collection is in full swing. Thank you to the DPW for their efforts. Look for the schedule on our website and in our October newsletter. Free brown leaf bags are available to residents while supplies last at the recycling center during the weekend operating hours. Collection is through the week of December 6th. If you need a compost permit, applications can be found on our website. As Councilman O'Toole mentioned, the holiday observers are planning their annual Halloween parade this Sunday. Do you want to speak to that?
Correct. All the kids in the borough are welcome. I'm excluded, but come in costume. Prizes for everybody.
Great.
No food this year. COVID still.
Okay. Veterans Day, November 11th. Borough Hall will be closed in observance of Veterans Day on Thursday, November 11th. With respect, honor, and gratitude, thank you on behalf of all of us to our veterans for their service and sacrifice for our nation. And stay tuned for details to follow as to how we will be recognizing Veterans Day. Due to next week's election, Veterans Day, and Thanksgiving at the end of the month, there will only be one mayor and council meeting on Thursday, November 18th at 7:30. So that is the end of my report. Mr. Wiss?
Busy couple of weeks, but I think that most of the things we've been involved in have been addressed in the council reports and in your report, Mayor. So no formal report.
Great. Thank you very much. Michelle?
Thank you. The clerk's office, we're just busy getting ready for Tuesday's election. So tomorrow and Monday, we're going to be preparing this room and the firehouse. Thank you to Ron and the DPW they're going to help us. And then also, I just, as the mayor said, I encourage everyone to look at our newsletter or our website or social media. There are several ways that people can vote. It's not just in person voting.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ron?
Yes, sure. I have a few things. Yes, tomorrow, Rich McDowell, Ray Frazier's been assigned. They're working, Michelle and Tatiana, so they'll be here tomorrow. Start setting up. I actually said with the leaf pickup, this is my 7th year. We're renting week 4 right now. And this has been the best year with residents cooperating or working, following the rules and, putting the leaf bags out. You guys been going around getting them. Just not jinxing it, but knock on wood, it's been really smooth. It's been a late year for the leaves falling, so we'll see as it goes forward.
Right.
I do want to thank the residents. They've been terrific. Well, yeah, I leave here, I go to a couple other towns. And the streets don't look, and with Danny sweeping, with Danny
Right.
Davis sweeping already, we're kind of staying ahead of it. And then it's important with the holidays coming up and trying to, keeping the town looking good. So it's a team effort, and the residents really been cooperating.
That's great.
Good news is I copied you guys on it. The county did get back to me with the West Crescent Bridge retaining wall, which collapsed in Tropical Storm Ida, which stopped us from getting to well 11 and the other concerns too. I think partially due to County Executive Tedesco being up here last Thursday.
Right.
We look like we're going to start next week as soon as the material comes in.
Mhm.
So that'll be, I was concerned about that not being done by the county for the winter season. So myself and OEM director Dylan did put that on our FEMA report. And then when the gentleman from FEMA here today, I reached out to Joe Femia from the county. He confirmed that they're going to put on their report. So that's off our report, which one less thing I had to think about getting bids for. So that's working
So
out
what does
well.
that mean? That means that we don't have to bid for it?
We don't have to do the work. They're doing the work.
They're committed on a reasonable timeframe?
Next week. I sent you an email. They'll be here next week. As soon as the material's in, they awarded it, the contractor, like everybody else, it really is true. You know, the material is just not out there.
Yeah.
Another place, I was looking for a 70-inch pipe for a storm drain system, and it's like non-existent. Even the big guys, the big contractors can't get them. So the county is committed. They're going to be fixing that retaining wall starting next week or the week after. And so that's all for our FEMA, our responsibility plus our FEMA report. It is their responsibility, but
Right.
I couldn't wait through the winter to do it. So
Yeah, no, we needed
Yeah,
that. I
we-
was
that's-
just thinking that
right.
well is gonna need
So-
treatment, so we need to make sure. we
that's
can
that.
access it.
I'm meeting with the owner of Conquest Construction tomorrow on a couple of things. His company won the bid for repair of catch basins. He really has stayed up of it, but there is one, Councilman O'Connell got a call. It's been 2 weeks.
In a place.
Ada Place, it's bad. We got cones on it. I will work with Frank tomorrow to find out, get a crew together next week to address that catch basin. I'm aware of it, it's coned off and stuff. And also partial, as Councilman Walensky said, the playground, part of the phase 2 came in. We got signs made up, but I think we're gonna close, end of next week, we'll close the playground, start the process, and I'm supposed to get the other pieces in to follow. This is first, the 8th, the week after the 8th. The rest of the parts are supposed to come in. Weather pinning, we can do phase 2, get through the winter, get that done. And thank God, the reason I was so urgent getting phase 3 approved tonight, the rubber, and especially the equipment, game time has got a 9% increase coming on November 9th. So 9% increase with as Councilwoman knows, where the open space monies are very tight, so that 9% would have hurt us. So we got that in tonight, so that's good. I'm meeting with Mike Vreeland as well. He's been very busy. I understand walls with the water, but I need to get a generic specification for fixing the part of Crestwood Lake that was damaged in Storm
Right.
Ida. It is part of our FEMA grant application. I'm pretty sure it's just some RCP stone rolled and then sand. I don't know if I can get sand, but I think it's a simple, but to do it right, especially in FEMA money, I need an engineer's spec. I'll put that out the spec. Michelle will help me. Put out the bid, open bid, 10 days, get it in. Weather thinning will knock that out by the end of the year as well. If we take the other couple of things with Storm Ida, myself and Mike Dillon met with, as Councilman Stroud said, twice with the FEMA representative, one Pete's from Wisconsin, and another guy named Ron he's from South Carolina. So we talked about a little Big Ten football, little ACC football. We're in good shape, but everything is. They said the borough is way ahead of most towns.
Right.
We've done the tree repairs, we fixed the fields. We got bids for the bridge walkway got washed away. The next thing we do, I've asked the county to borrow a mini excavator to clean up the area. Some areas in Crestwood Lake that we can clean that area up,
Right.
and we're good there. On regards to sale of the possible sale of the water system, right, stop me. There was an article in the Bergen Record on Saturday. Councilwoman Holman basically gave, as you know, I've been doing my previous jobs. I know a lot of people in the county. I received a dozen calls saying, just use that article. It was that informative. I got a lot of compliments, I want to tell you, from people, in different walks of the business in the county. They thought the article was.
Yes, you did a nice job.
Your information is, these guys who do this for a living, they were very, very impressed.
It was
Great
fair. It
article.
was a very fair article.
It's a good, I mean,
Yeah, and I
just want
would,
to say that was a really good article.
right, and I mean, I didn't spend the 8 hours that you did crafting it, but what you sent to her was so detailed, and she she really went through it and tried to take the essence of it and keep it.
I
in.
wanted her to tell everybody that the wells were dug by Mayor Thomas in the 1930s. And she's like, yeah, that didn't make it.
That's right. Well, perhaps that didn't, but the 95% of it that was, that
She was
did
very
was,
good.
was great.
She asked
It
good
was good on.
questions. She
Yeah.
was very.
If you missed it, it reran today in today's Town Journal.
Okay, a couple other things on that, Rick. And shame on me, because the day-to-day operations, I didn't bring this up when we were discussing all these ideas, and hope it's not too late, but I'd like to get this out to the public as well. There's, probably 2,700 accounts. The meters are anywhere from over 15 years old. Life expectancy is 10 to 12. We've been changing meters out, at least 20% of them. Meters are $95 each. System-wise, we're gonna, with the next couple of years, Suez is committed to changing out all 2,700 meters to they have meters that they use everywhere else. If we have to change the meters out, that's gonna be another capital expenditure in the next year or two. Another thing coming down the road, which is the lead lines.
The lead
The
lines.
lead
Yep.
lines from the
Right.
main. These are numbers I really should have told people ahead of time. If there's 27, we've done the report. There's about 35% that's been confirmed what they are.
Right.
Leaves us, about 1,900, 1,800. Just doing the pit test to do them are $400 each. So that's $720,000 just to test to see what these various lines are. Being conservative, take 40% of those being ones, and it's going to come down. I talk to people, it's going to be the boroughs or the township's responsibility to fix from the up to the curb box. There's going to be the residents responsible for the curb box to their house, but take that short runs. If you're on this side of the street and it's the same size as the curb box,
Right.
it's a shorter run. Those are 1,000 to 1,500. Long runs across the whole street are about 3,000. Again, conservatively, if you take 40% of only those other 1,800
Right.
homes, you're looking at another $1,440,000. Shame on me. I really feel bad that I didn't include that ahead of
Yeah,
time.
I think though that, Suez, if people looked at what they, have committed to doing, they have, I think it's like 1.9 million.
They do.
in the
Well, that's
first
why we're
couple of
pretty
years to
close.
Address some of those, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought myself, I know I didn't bring it up and those are numbers that keep me up at night.
Right.
So that's just something else I wanted to include.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody's
And the
listening, trying to
metering
read
is
that.
really a great thing because the meters that they're moving to will allow for monitoring that you can actually put your phone to it and
Yes.
you can see whether or not you have a leak. And anybody that's been on the water committee knows that people come in and it's upsetting because somebody will have a $500 or a $1,900, or we've seen $9,000 a leak that occurred over a quarter and they didn't know because they didn't hear it or whatnot. So
So you can get bad news early and
yes,
Right,
And repair.
yes, you
That's
can,
Yeah.
you can. That's
because
it.
after I on the water committee, I saw some of these
It's
bills
very
and
upsetting.
it kept me up a few nights. I'm like, that happens to me. I'm dead. You know,
Well, yes, yeah, and
Because,
I thought you were gonna say it kept jumping because you feel bad when somebody says,
well, yeah. I
my
picture-
mom's 92 years old, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but I
That's
don't want your
that's what I felt.
92-year-old mother to pay for the guy with the $10,000 break.
That lady and her mother were at the 9/11 memorial the other day. I put the water on. They were there right before the 9/11 ceremony, at Friday before that, the Saturday, the 10th, they were there. And they were up there the other day. They liked the fountain so much, I put the fountains back on for them for a few minutes.
For the record, I was up at night because I empathized with them.
was
And I
like-
could just, as a resident, of course, myself, I could easily see that happening. So, why wait 3 months to find out that you've been leaking the whole time?
A couple of things I copied. Duct work is they've been waiting for the firehouse from a lot of some duct work. The guy was up there measuring the day. That'll be done for the end of the year, which will improve on our heating and air conditioning at the firehouse. And here, the boiler, it's a very, I can't understand the controls. I have a Black Seal license. I can't really figure out this control every year. I'm resetting. I should look at the label on the box. The guy's number's there. I called him. He's out of Union, New Jersey. He's gonna come up. We're gonna get him in and he's gonna show me how to work the controls a little better on the heating guys coming up. And other than that, I'm good.
Other than that, right, yeah, other than that, it's been a slow 2 weeks, right? Okay, and this is not on, correct? No, okay. So for the last time, we opened the meeting to the public on any matter. Anyone at all? Mr. Thomas? Great to see you here today. Yeah, it's good to have you. Come on up.
Just come primarily to commend Councilwoman Bowman on the way you have presented the pending sale and purchase of the water system. And take another part of my 3 minutes to ask a few questions, if I may.
Sure. So, and so,
Better stay up, it's easier.
so James Thomas, your address?
30 Arlington Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
The first question is, do we anticipate that the payment by Suez will be in one upfront, or will they suggest a installment payment of the $18 million? You know that.
Pick me. Right, it's a, once it closes, it's a lump sum
And that will be at the time of sale.
at the time, yeah, at the closing. So in the closing's anticipated that it'll be May or June of 2022.
The second question I have is, for the $18 million, what is Suez acquiring?
So they are acquiring the land, any land that we, don't have easements on, and so that they will acquire land. They will acquire the actual physical pipes in the ground, the treatment plants. So it's all of the equipment, I guess, that we just define it as, yeah. I couldn't think of the word. Let me just let Ray answer.
Yeah, the
Infrastructure.
infrastructure.
Well, that leads me to the question I think you can answer. How do you convey a well that's in a small area in a bigger property? Are you going to convey it as a deed or?
Yes,
it will be
right.
conveyed as-
There are certain properties that are going to be conveyed in fee by deed to Suez. There are other aspects of the system and the infrastructure which are over easements. So the access to those is being conveyed, but not the fee interest in the property.
But in certain 5 cases of the wells, they're all currently property owned by the borough.
That's correct.
So there'd be no problem any idea what the size you're going to deed? How many square feet?
The answer is yes, but I can't answer it off the top of my head. Yes, I mean, each of the parcels is defined by area. So, for deed purposes, obviously it'll have to be described as the actual conveyance piece, but I don't think I can give you off the top of my head the answer as to the exact
With
size.
With respect to the water tower, which is on Ramsey property, are you going to convey the tower as a structure and the property will remain Ramsey? Is that correct?
We can't convey although we have ownership in the
Yeah.
property, so they will obtain our interest in the Ramsey property.
They will pay our Ramsey taxes, the taxes that we currently pay Ramsey.
So you simply transfer the interest. in that
Yes.
case. The last question with respect to the purchase. We have other wells that have been taken out of service over the years here. I don't know how many can still identify as a well. And most of the conduits that were placed there when they were in operation, I think are still there. Is Suez, when it's buying the water system, are they buying those wells also?
I think it's the entirety of this, right?
There's none, those wells are not there, they don't have permits attached to them or anything like that, so I do not believe those are a part.
It's only the operational one.
I believe, I will
I
have to
think- I
check,
believe
but
you're
that's,
right. I
there's,
think Councilman
it's not
Bowles
part
right.
of our operating water system today. And they don't have valid permits with NJDEP, so.
Well, if I make a suggestion, in another town where Suez is interested in, they are buying the water system, and the water system there does include, by definition of the council, I presume, maybe the PUC, wells that are out of service, taken out of service for various reasons. So I would suggest that you clarify whether you and Suez are on the same understanding of when they're buying a water system. Because I believe they would want to have those wells, particularly those which in the future can be put back in service when the contamination. So I offer that.
Thank
Now,
you.
may I ask one other question on a non-related subject?
Absolutely.
When the closings occurred with respect to 220 and 230, a certain amount of money was received from Hampshire by the borough. Where is that money?
The money went to go pay down the debt that was we used to purchase the property. So $8 million.
That wasn't all.
So yeah, it was all of it. All of it went to go pay down the debt.
Not all of the acquisition costs, no. So to Councilwoman Wilsinski's point is at the time the property was purchased, then I think we were talking $13+ million, whatever the exact number was.
Over 13 years.
In terms of the closings, 230 has closed. And that $8 or $9 million that was received on the close of 230 was put toward paying down the debt on the, what was the $13 million acquisition of the entirety of 220, 230.
Right.
So now there still remains a future closing on the balance of the property. And that would account for, subject to.
In the original deal, there was a certain amount to be put into escrow, I think 3 million plus.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you meant just for the closing of 230. We didn't actually close on the front part yet. So as part of the transition, what's happening is that we just got the 10.2 for the back. We have some money that we put in to pay down the debt, and then there was a certain amount that was reserved for the 3.5 that's going to go in escrow. When we close on 220, there's another 3 million that's going to be put into that for building of the Borough Hall for 220, which is the front
That 3
building.
million.
Yeah.
So
Which
what-
comes
what
to a
of the
total
debt-
of
what the
3.5.
original debt will remain?
It's going to be about $4 million with the 3.5. However, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, we are getting prices back on the building that's going to be more money. So the debt, it depends on how much it's going to cost to actually build Borough Hall.
Do I have time?
Sure, go ahead.
Is all of that remaining debt callable?
I don't think so, but I'm not
think the answer
100%
was no.
positive. Yeah, we had only just one of the bonds I know is callable. I think the rest are not.
So if there's remaining money from the 18 million, you paid off that debt
You mean the 18 million from the water sale?
from the sale of the water.
Yeah.
That will cover the current water department debt as well as
The
some
municipal
of
debt,
the borough debt.
correct?
And there'll be some left over.
That's correct.
Can that part that's left over, as your understanding under the legislation, the current statute, that money could be used for general budgeting purposes. Correct. Can also be used to retire that remaining debt.
It will be used to retire that remaining
It
debt.
has to be used.
4 million of it, yeah.
It has to be used by ordinance, by state statute. The proceeds from the sale have to be used first to pay off our existing debt.
Including that remaining debt on two.
And then that will leave approximately $4 million for the general use, borough's use.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very
Again,
much.
so great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Walter Whitmer, 38 Hamilton. Last year, I brought to your attention the fact that we, Allendale, have a Christmas tree in Shawn Park, on Shawn Park. You may
Vance on Park?
recall- Pardon me?
What park?
Vince on.
Vance on.
Vance on Park, yeah. And since Allendale is the #1 tree in that long list of trees for all the communities, I'd like to suggest, I'm not volunteering.
That was my next question.
I know.
Who's
That
gonna
it
decorate
impose
it?
upon the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or whomever to take it upon themselves to decorate that tree adequately so that we are recognized as being the best.
The best.
I'll tell you what, Walter, I'll put it in the
Is
newsletter
that
for
I
you.
know, and Suzanne Lovasola is probably watching this online, that the Fell House has a lot of decorations in the upstairs room because some of the National Honor Society students organized some of it. So I'm thinking maybe we got to reach out to some volunteers and see whether or not they can decorate that tree. So keep reminding us.
No, I've done my part. And number two, and I don't want to go into any details on this, but this week we had the occasion to call upon the rescue squad, the ambulance, and the police was something that took place. And I'd like to express my gratitude and thank you to all of those people who did their part in doing a wonderful job of helping us out. 3 cheers.
Thank you.
Aw, thank you.
Sure.
They are.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. I've been there. My mother-in-law, my 90-year-old mother-in-law lived with us until very recently, till she went to the nursing home. And when she fell in March, it was such a welcome sight to see my 2 very familiar APD people walking up the driveway at 2:30 in the morning. You know, it was put me immediately, my stress level went way down
They go over to Brighton Gardens too. I've seen my mom's.
all the time.
Camera.
Yeah, so I've been there. I know how you feel.
Amazing.
So anyone else from the public wish to be heard?
We got one of our volunteers right out there.
Not seeing
Thank you.
anyone. I would request a motion to adjourn the regular session.
So move, Sasso.
Thank you, Steve. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Amy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.